Hi there, folks. Welcome to Just Ask George, where we explore the entire universe of structured corporate finance. I'm David Wolf, here with George Lovato Jr. He's the president, CEO, and founder of BH Capital. George, how are you?
I'm doing great today.
You had a good week, I know.
Yeah,
I can feel the vibe.
Hey, listen, been a busy week, getting ready to go to your hometown next week, Chicago.
You're going to the Windy City.
Chicago. And someone told me the best steakhouse there is Gene and Giorgetti's.
Gene and Giorgetti's, maybe
Really?
one of them. And, of course, you want to get some pizza while you're there, the real deal, the thick Chicago.
Oh, yeah. Where do you go for that?
Well, you can go to Uno's, you can go to Due's. Uno's is probably the place to go.
You can get Uno's several places around.
They've spun this thing off into kind of a chainy thing, but I think the real deal's
still there.
There's also one in the northern suburbs called Lou Malnati's. That's really, really good. That's very close to where I grew up.
Listen, the name it's making me hungry. So.
Well, and so just ask George, and we're going to do that today. We've got Stupid Without a License segment, this segment, folks. And George, as always, you've got a library of encyclopedic studies of stupidity in structured finance. Tell us about Mr. Potato Head, please.
The Potato Bankruptcy, as it's called.
Yes.
This is really an interesting study in all the things not to do. This was, first of all, a very successful farming family. They farmed potatoes, and then they bought a packing facility and did very well at that. They had kind of their own brand, if you will, that they sold to all the major chains. And they made a lot of money. And then finally, somebody one day out of the clear blue sky told them that they needed to be a public company. They were a perfect vehicle for a public company. So, first mistake, stupid business decision number one was they should have never gone public, and they did it the wrong way. They backed into a shell, and the stock traded by appointment. It just never worked right. Then I come along, and they said, we really don't know how to run a public company. Would you kind of give us the 101 on?
By the way.
Yeah. Oh, by the way, after everything's done, then they bring me in, and they said, how do we go through the process of communicating with our shareholders? What are the do's and don'ts? How do we prepare our quarterly statements from our perspective? Because there's a lot that the company does aside from what the accountants do. And how do we just manage this thing? The two sons were relatively good students. The father was old school, wanted to do things his way. You'd tell him on Monday, this is what you need to do by Friday, and by Friday he'd say, I don't think I want to do that. So it was really a wasted effort, and it was costing the company a lot of money. All right. So here comes the next stupid business decision. They decide they want to buy more farming ground at the time when the cost of that ground was at its very peak. At the high, right at the apex.
Okay.
And so your returns, you're throwing on more debt, which a lot of farmers, they're used to that. They threw on a bunch more debt. They're weighted down by this tremendous burden. And the potato market just goes,
What caused that?
A lot of factors. Potato markets are bad just generally because there's too much supply.
Okay, so it's a supply, largely a function of supply.
It works very much like any other commodity.
Sure.
So, potatoes aren't on the commodity exchange. They're one of the items that there isn't at that time. There certainly wasn't. They have their kind of little blue sheet platform or green sheet platform, I forget what they call it. But anyway, so the market falls out. Now they've got trouble, and they can't service their debt. And so they come to me and they say, what do we do? And I said, you haven't really used your public company vehicle per se. And one of the things that you've never done is you've never raised any money. They went public. I know.
Well, there's a sexiness about, if you will, I'm going to take my company public.
Yeah.
There is a entrepreneur's, and there's the math and
there's a
without realizing that they have to market and sell this.
Right. So
security.
they never raised any money.
All right.
And so I said, why don't we put together a private placement while you're public?
Yeah.
And we did, and infused the company with some money. They burned through that, and they really haven't corrected the cause of the problem, which was they should have just turned around and gotten rid of the property. They should have sold it back to the sellers, or essentially leased it out. Taken it off their books, sold it, done something with it, because they just couldn't handle it, and it wasn't doing them any good. Okay. So then they were approached by this guy who was the guru of bankruptcy. And he said, here's what we're going to do, guys. We're going to throw you into bankruptcy, and we're going to cram down all this debt, and we're going to finance you through the process. And so all right. They fall for the story that bankruptcy is the best thing for them, and they file bankruptcy, file an 11. Without a reorganization plan, without a target for financing, without.
Just throw into this thing called bankruptcy and hope it's going to fix it all.
Right.
Okay.
He winds up throwing them under the bus. They wound up losing everything.
Oh my God.
And they all go their separate ways. One, the smart brother became a custom farmer. He worked for people that had lots and lots and lots of land. Moral of the story is, if you look at these decisions, first of all, expanding, vertically integrating, adding much more debt than they could possibly handle, taking it public, filing bankruptcy. I mean, it was just, it was this arc, and you could just watch it auger in. No matter what I advised them to do, I told them, let's probably not buy that land. Let's use the vehicle as it should be utilized as a public entity. They just, it's like I told you, you tell them we need to do something by Friday, and he'd say, I don't want to do that. He just really was not following all the rules, wasn't following the advice, and it was just a formula for disaster.
Okay.
Punchline of the story is, years pass, and the one son is back on his feet and doing very well, and I get a call from the other brother, and he says, I'm putting together an assemblage of some property, something like 20 potato circles or something like that, and I've got a couple partners. I want to try that public company thing again.
The moral was he didn't learn the moral.
Whoa, boy, I'll tell you. I said, well, gosh, good luck. Let me know how that works out for you.
I was going to say, we should do a segment here on Just Ask George, about the whole realm of whether or not to go public. Why should you do it?
Yeah.
You have this structural thing where you do a private in tandem with public. Let's talk about that thing. We need to do that on a future segment.
Write that down.
Yeah, we'll do that. Definitely make a note of that.
Good idea.
So,
he comes up with great ideas.
Well, I'm trying, and also it's a teaser for you guys. We're glad you're with us. Just Ask George, of course, the website, www.bhcapitalLTD.com. You can also find...
You're so smooth when you say that now.
I'm working on it.
Rolling right off.
I'm working on learning my lines, right? And, of course, we've got the obstaclecourse.books.com for the archives of George Lovato.
And this story, this Stupid Without a License story, is this video is actually going to be incorporated into the ebook.
Nice.
On
Beautiful.
Stories. So
love that.
We're really looking forward to kind of winding that up here in the next couple
And the idea
weeks.
is, we're not trying to diss the people that have made stupid without a license sort of mistakes. Of course, it's just a peer-to-peer. You want to be able to learn what not to do.
What not to do. And learn from what other people's experience have yielded. That's really what Stupid Without a License is. And some of the stories are funny. Some of them are very sad, like the Potato Bankruptcy.
That is very sad. The moral is they didn't learn the moral. Folks, we'll see you next time on Just Ask George. Remember, it's www.bhcapitalLTD.com for more info. See you next time.
Bye-bye.